Hello, Kara and Tracy. I don't know which actually. Which is
I'm
Tracy?
Tracy, and I'm Kara.
Tracy, I had it totally mixed. Anyway, you are here to share with my viewers some pretty amazing stuff called the Soul Happy Technique. But would you mind just starting out, either of you, telling me how you got there? Tell us about your journey. Everybody wants to know what the journey was like.
Okay.
Well, so we're both psychotherapists who have been in the field since the 80s. And I'll kind of just speak for myself first, but we were apparently kind of living a parallel life in our careers, in that over the course of a couple decades in the field, I was starting to get a little bit frustrated, I guess, with psychotherapy and how long it took, and the kind of the inconsistency of the results, and then once you did kind of feel like you made some progress, the lack of sustainability. So I kind of just started researching other options, other modalities in the field, and I was shocked.
I know, I can attest to that because, oh my gosh, we have lots of material for psychotherapists in my family, and it takes forever. And, it's amazing because the two kids that I had most trouble with, they could tell the psychotherapist exactly what they thought they should hear. And they knew how to totally manipulate the sessions. So, I'm sorry.
Kind of a waste of everybody's time then, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And not to mention the fact that if you're dealing with, in therapy, in talk therapy, we're dealing with, past negative memories, right? So the idea of talk therapy is you bring up the memories, you process the feelings that are attached to the memories, and that means you're reliving these negative memories over and over and over, and that's not comfortable for anybody.
Oh God, that's so painful. I know, very painful.
Yeah, there's a big burnout rate among psychotherapists, as you can imagine.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I don't know if we were quite burned out yet, but we were definitely, we're the same age. We had been in the field a while, and really understanding that, like Tracy said, we were searching kind of independently in our own ways of finding other modalities to work with our clients. And we both met at a continuing education program for hypnosis, or in our field it's known as hypnotherapy.
Okay.
And when I was saying, and we were shocked, what we were shocked about was to find out in the past, really it's so more recent, it's like in the past decade, all the breakthroughs in neuroscience, that researchers have figured out how memories are stored and processed. And we found out it all takes place in the subconscious mind. So,
yeah.
So then it just became a subsequent thought, well, gosh, have us therapists been dealing with the wrong part of the mind?
Right, because we normally, when we have our clients with us in our offices, we are speaking to the conscious mind.
Sure.
That's the part that's analytical and critical, and you know these things.
Well, that's the problem. The problem is that it's analytical.
And that's but in defense of psychotherapy and in the field of psychology in general, this is what we're trained to do.
Well, we just didn't know.
Yeah,
we didn't appreciate. And then, what got really exciting, okay, so we find out where memory is stored, and you think, okay, so now if we know it's in the subconscious mind, so how is it stored, and can we get to it? So then we found out that it's stored in the form of energy. And, so some of this stuff is really new, and then we can use old energetic theories from way back, from Albert Einstein. I mean, back in the early 1900s, when physicists realized that energy is quantifiable, that it's tangible and measurable, then you've got like something to work with. You've got a unit of something you can work with. Then we realized that you can get to the subconscious mind through altering your brainwave state. which brings us full circle to where Kara and I met, which was at a hypnotherapy training. And so we figured, okay, we know how it's stored, it's malleable, and we can change it, and we can get to the subconscious. So wouldn't it just make sense that we thought, let's figure out a way to really utilize these findings? And we found out that actually there were a lot of modalities already doing this.
Yeah, there really are. It's just that that they're not, the term hypnosis has actually gotten a bad rap. And through the years, because when you think of hypnosis, you think of those people that put other people on stage and then they teach them to quack like a duck. And
I know, it's like a party trick, But I like the fact that you guys it's not all this woo-woo, airy-fairy stuff. You guys have a technique that's based in science, which to me, as a physician slash scientist, I love that. But go ahead.
Yeah, you know what we did too.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more understandable and tangible. And so to get back to Kara's point, hypnosis was never really utilized. Well, I mean, until therapists figured it out, and you would hear about therapists using hypnosis for things like smoking cessation, things like that.
Weight loss is another big one, using hypnosis for weight loss. That's very common. So it's kind of coming to the full circle of why are we not using this more within the psychotherapy realm?
For behaviorism.
Yeah.
Not just for an addiction, but for behaviors. If we can change an addiction, why can't we maybe change, let's say we have an anger problem, why can't we reprogram and change basically it's reprogramming the subconscious mind, which we never knew we could do.
That's fascinating. Well, can you treat things like PTSD, not just behaviors, but like conflicted feelings and emotional problems other than anger?
Well, yes, and there are modalities out there that are specific to trauma, such as EMDR.
Yes.
I don't know if you are familiar with that one or not, or if your viewers are, but that is a very, very common modality that's used.
Yeah, I've had that. And I thought it was very effective. Really effective.
Specific for PTSD.
Glad to hear that.
Our work and what we've developed is a little more, I would say it's a little less, we've gotten away from the trauma, and we've gotten more in line with just potential and performance and that sort of thing. So we've kind of steered away from that just because we wanted to reach a wider range of individuals. So that's how kind of the backstory of how our technique was developed. We began working together and realizing that we could bring up these people in our own private practices from A to B at a much faster rate by using some of these tools that we learned. So we joined forces, and then we developed this technique based on what we were trained to do. And we utilized, of course, our backgrounds in talk therapy, which is psychotherapy and understanding of that. And then our knowledge of brainwave states now, which would be the neuroscience piece. The understanding of bilaterally stimulating the hemispheres of the brain, which would be relative to the EMDR.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we've combined all of these.
A bunch of different modalities, and we kind of took what we liked the most from each modality that we were using, like what really resonated with us. And then we just kept trying it out on our clients and working it through. And with our clients in our private practices, we would tweak it, try it differently, tweak it, try it this way, tweak it. We've done this this is going on 4 years that it took for research and development of the technique. And basically we came up with kind of like our own, special sauce of a sequence that involved these different modalities, tools of hypnosis, energetic exercises. There's a little bit of NLP, EMDR,
NLP, that's for the listeners, neuro-linguistic programming. Can you define that? Because I kind of don't know.
That's okay. Neuro-linguistic programming is developed by Richard Bandler, and he was not in the field of psychology, which is very appealing. He was, I believe, a sound engineer.
Really?
He had this understanding that if we could disassociate from our negative past experience or memories, if we could dissociate the emotion from it, so if the emotion and the memories are coupled, and when that happens, that's when we hang on to it in our subconscious mind.
Yes. Oh,
so
yeah.
We can dissociate from that understanding or that emotion that's attached to that. Then we can let go of the memory, so it's not so prevalent.
So meaning, just to clarify, because people might be thinking, well, if we're using hypnosis and we're trying to reprogram, are we wiping, clean your memory? Like, can you have a clean slate? It would almost be nice if you could, but basically that's not what happens. You'll still have your memory, but because it's stored energetically differently, it has the emotion attached to it has been dissipated. So the intensity of the emotion is really what we bust up.
So you kind of view the experience, the memory, in a more objective way, because I don't want to lose my memories of the horrible child abuse, physical and emotional child abuse I suffered, because I disconnected the emotion from it, and I love it that I have that memory because I see the value in it. It's made me more assertive. It's made me more compassionate, much more nurturing mom. So, and I think it's really important to find the value in all trauma or any kind of experience, positive or negative. Now, go ahead. I have some questions I've been jotting down, but go ahead.
Well, that's why I think, to your point, what's so great about this is the memory just gets kind of filed away in a way that doesn't make you view the world in a lot of fear. So like if you think about childhood abuse, like for you, Elisa, if the emotions attached to it were still as strong, you would view things fearfully, right? You would view things through like an accumulated amount of fear. Yeah. So if we can dissipate the fear, then you can think of it, like you said, in more objective terms and not let it make you go out with a fearful bent on everything you do. Be fearful of people, fearful of relationships, fearful of somebody, betraying you.
It sounds like you've kind of come to an understanding of the purpose and the meaning behind what your experience is, but a lot of people just don't get there. And so these exercises get you over that hurdle where you say, okay, yeah, it happened to me. And I'm now come to an understanding, almost a perspective, a separation from that event to say, yeah, okay, it happened. And now I can move on because it's not so sitting there in my mind all of a sudden like a filter to keep you from moving on in your world.
It's interesting. It kind of reminds me of the game of chess, when you're emotionally connected to that memory, you're one of the pawns being, moved around by outside forces. But if you can lift your perspective and become the chess player, then you can move those pawns in the direction you want.
You can be objective about your reaction.
Right. Exactly.
Right. I mean, to explain that, so you're probably wondering, well, how do we do what Kara just explained? So just to give you a little quick, instruction on how the memories are stored. They're stored in the subconscious mind. If you think of the subconscious, the memory, it's like a big data storage unit. So everything that you take in throughout your day, literally when you're driving down the street, every stop sign, every a person walking their dog, everything comes in and it gets filed away and stored. So you can think of it, like I said, kind of like a big data storage unit. But stuff that happens that kind of gives us a bigger, reaction doesn't get filed away like all those just kind of benign, mundane little things that can just get filed away further and further back in the storage unit, it actually gets held out front. And the reason is so that it's kind of ready to give you an alert. It's like the old true, the true survival mechanism, where rather than going back into the storage unit, it doesn't open the door and go into the storage unit. It stays out front, in the very front, so that the next time you feel a similar feeling, it's like, we know this feeling, go on high alert. And then the whole system prepares you for whatever needs to happen. So, on the one hand, it's a good thing. On the other hand, what happens over time is if you think of that, so think of it like it'd be like if emails coming in and the important ones have that little red flag of importance, little red flag of alert.
Yeah.
So similar situations come in and they all get kind of accumulated out front, rather than going back into and just kind of being filed away and things being in its proper perspective, going further and further back in the data storage. Instead, it's sitting out front and it kind of builds and builds and builds. And before you know it, you have an accumulated amount of these negative memories. And so then when something triggers fear or sadness or anger, when something triggers that, you're actually responding in a way through this huge now like pile of, we call it like a just big huge pile of gunk. You're responding through that, and it's often an overreaction.
Right, and it makes it hard to function. I've got some questions here now. Where is, at the very beginning or close to the beginning, you talked about that the energy is stored. Where do you feel like it's stored?
Well, neuroscience has taught us that our thoughts are around an energy field. And there are people that speak on this much better than we would, that are more in the field of neuroscience. Deepak Chopra is one.
Yeah.
Joe is another, where we have these energy fields that are around us, and our minds are like antenna, and we just filter through these energy waves that are around us.
Okay.
And so our thoughts are energy, that we know.
Yes. Yeah. Everything's energy. Emotions are energy. Yeah.
Right.
But there's not like an specific spot that we've yet identified.
Okay.
Like you as a medical physician, there's not a specific spot other than to understand it as it actually is energy going through our entire body, which is why, say, when you get triggered with fear, and cortisol, a fear hormone can just flood your system. That's why you feel it everywhere, because the energy is what carries the memory.
And we do know that a lot of times negative experiences and even trauma, we trap that also in our bodies.
Oh yeah.
So to answer your question, we know that it is energy. We know that the brain filters through that, but we also hold trauma in our bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking maybe it has some connection to the amygdala. But
didn't you?
There are parts of the brain that specifically hold, in which they have found that when they do probings in certain parts of the brain, that there are memories that can be induced. So that is the case.
And the hippocampus,
the
connection. Yeah. Okay. Now, what sort of things would this technique, and then we'll go into the specifics of the technique eventually, I promise, but what sort of things would this be used for? Anxiety, fear, depression, better performance, what else?
All of the above, what you just said. Okay. So what we're hoping in our version, and we put it online, and we'll explain that a little more, but because ours is an online technique, we wanted it to be a little bit more kind of across the board, helping people with typical stuff that we all experience. I mean, everybody experiences anxiety. Everybody knows what stress feels like. And everybody experiences insecurities. And if we can help people with all of those, then we can help you be better at what you do, whether it's in your career as a parent, as a spouse, as a student, as an athlete, as a whatever it is. Any of the insecurities that could be holding you back, that's what our technique tries to address.
That sounds awesome. It's like anything, there's love and there's fear. Anything attached to fear needs to be wiped away. That's the gunk, right?
Right. That's the gunk. That's the gunk. That's what we call the gunk. And the other part is that we want to make sure that the disclaimer goes out that we are not treating mental illness.
Yes.
I just want to put that out there because I think some people might think, well, my bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or things like that, and this is not the therapy for that type of condition. Of course, you have to consult with your mental health professional for anything.
Well, of course, there could be an adjuvant therapy, right?
We would love that.
And actually, we've worked with people in that area.
Okay, good.
When we were testing, when we were, in our practices testing this theory out, usually the biggest field that would refer people to us was the field of psychology. So it was other therapists sending us clients where maybe they were a little bit stuck. And they're like, we heard about this tool, go give it a try. And it was usually just local in our local community as we were, getting the word out there a little bit of what we were working on. A therapist would say, go give this a try so that we can kind of get unstuck in this one area. Right. So, and
then we would send them back to their therapist so that they could continue working with them.
Oh, sure.
So we just wanted to clarify, what we are and what we aren't.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so can you tell me exactly, do they go to your office and get hooked up to a bunch of wires? Do they sit in front of a computer? I kind of know, but the viewer doesn't. So can you tell us about your technique specifically?
So here's where we're so excited. We just as I was just saying, we were using the technique in our practices, face to face with our clients. And then Kara, well, I'll let you speak to it. It was kind of your idea.
Tracy, we're having this tremendous success, and why don't we try and take this and do this in a bigger scale? Why can't we take it on the internet? Why can't we have people work in the privacy of their own homes for a lot less money than what we were charging?
That's great.
And try and reach a greater population of people. People are so busy now. It's so hard for them to make the time to go even get their hair done, much less go to psychotherapists. So why not do something in the privacy of their own home?
Plus a lot of people who suffer from fear-based emotions like anger or whatever, sometimes they have financial trouble because they just can't perform. Maybe they can't get a job because of it. Maybe they can't perform as well, or maybe the financial troubles are causing them the anxiety or the anger. So
sometimes people just can't get around to finding the therapist, picking up the phone and making the appointment, finding the time for the appointment. I sometimes just kind of crack up when I see that somebody bought the technique at like 2:00 in the morning. They're looking for something. And then it's kind of nice to know that, maybe they, did the first 2 sessions right in the middle of the night, right then when they needed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As opposed to, well, now I got to wait till, a week from Tuesday at 2:00 and I got to get over there. And, so
it's the convenience, it's the privacy. We are not working one-on-one. Like I know there's online coaching and online counseling, and that is not what we're providing. We kind of like the idea of people owning their own healing. And that is something that we have done through our technique is we've put it on them. Hey, we're going to present you with the tools that you need. It's up to you what you want to do with those tools, but it is something that you can do without having to go see someone face to face. And if we also our videos give them the ability to rewind and do them again and again. And we've had several people that have actually done that.
All right, let's talk about this. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it becomes a little bit less about the therapeutic relationship then.
Yeah.
Where, I'm just going to say it. Sometimes in therapy, it was tough because the person just really kind of wanted me to tell them what I thought they should do and just give them a little, why don't you do this, this, and this, and go do it, and that'll be great. And look, in the medical field, it does have to be usually that straightforward. Look, here's your prognosis. Here's the medicine I recommend. Here's what we're going to do, or the surgery. Well, in our field, it's so subjective.
Yeah.
Our whole goal was to get, the client to figure out what was going to be best for them. And yet so many times, people are just looking through the therapeutic relationship for somebody to just kind of direct them because they're overwhelmed. So, well, we understand that. It's not the most helpful thing in the world, because then what happens is the person becomes a little bit dependent on, well, what would the therapist say? What would Tracy suggest I do? Well, I don't want that to be my role. And so this takes the therapeutic relationship out of the equation, and it's helpful. We can do it because this is energetic exercises. So what we were talking about earlier, it's, we're not just processing feelings. There's actual exercises that we just simply guide you through, and that's you do that, but you, like we said, you do it in the privacy of your own home, at your own time, in your own place. So I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people who are still going to want their therapist, and that's okay, because this doesn't negate that. But then there's a lot of people out there who never wanted a therapist, and they would never go to a therapist.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of people like that.
They're going to
a lot of guys are like that too.
Right.
Let's talk about the technique specifically. You said there's a sequence, right?
So session 1 is what we call our education piece. It's not long. It's only about 13 minutes long, 13 to 15 minutes long. And it basically, we felt it was important to educate people on how the mind works and processes memory, and how this whole technique comes into play. So we took that time, and we think it's really an important piece of the technique to really get it and understand it.
Yeah, because it tells them, hey, there's science behind this stuff. So,
and that's why we felt it important.
Have faith in it. You can have more faith in it. Right.
Right. So that's what session 1 is about. Session 2 is known as the clearing exercises that we referred to earlier, and we used NLP and a few other modalities within that session. That's a little longer. I believe it's 35 to 40 minutes, but some people have had session 2 go on for hours, because depending on how many experiences they wanted to process, right? So that's all very something that we've had people do, and we have had people that moved right through it, and then we've had people that literally took days to go through.
Well, look, I mean, it's better than 10 years of therapy.
Right. And so that's the session, the one Kara's referring to. That's the one that we go in and we ultimately bust up you remember that gunk that we said is all accumulated out there? We are able to help you now. Well, basically, the intensity of the emotion that is attached to those memories is what we work with.
Right.
Okay. That intensity is no longer there.
Let's just to say that when we do these exercises, we do something known as an induction, and that induction gets you into this very calm down state, which is in neuroscience terms, this is known as the alpha state.
Okay.
So when you get people into this alpha state, then they're very calm, they're very focused, and they're open to suggestibility. You're totally conscious. This is not classic hypnosis, and that where you don't have any memory of what you just went through. You're very, very focused. In fact, it's the same brainwave state that you go into when you're watching a movie.
Okay.
You're very, very focused. You get into the movie, you experience it as if you're there. And that's kind of where we take you in session 2.
And that brainwave state, by the way, is the programmable. You're right there on the cusp of the subconscious mind, which has been programmed by prior experiences. If you want to look at it that way, that's where the memories are. So it's kind of like been programmed by your experiences, hence your memories. So have you ever driven somewhere and gotten there and realized you don't really remember driving there?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So what happened, that is the subconscious mind took over. So you're probably daydreaming. The conscious mind is kind of engaged in something. You're thinking about the meeting ahead and how you want it. You're thinking about something that's just, taking over your mind. Well, the subconscious steps in. It knows where you're going because you've driven there before. You've never done that when it's, a brand new place that you're going to, but it's always a place that you know where you're going. And it just taps into the program and knows exactly what to do, and it got you there safely. That's the subconscious mind.
Cool.
That's the alpha brainwave state. You bypass the critical, analytical thinking mind, and you're into this subconscious where, that's where creativity is. It's open to suggestibility.
Good.
This is where we go to do our work.
What about phase 3?
That one is it's kind of near and dear to our heart. This third session is called Expanded Awareness. And what we figured, and again, this was just a sequence that we hammered out over years of tweaking and developing this with clients. Once we kind of clear out that level of intensity of the emotions, we thought, why not get you in touch with your authentic self, who you are at your core? Because that's where all your strengths exist in their purest form before that accumulated gunk even happened in the first place. So we kind of get you back in touch with really where you are at your strongest, your authentic self.
Awesome.
And just try to help you remember who you really are.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one is, we take you a little deeper in that session, a little slower down with brainwave states.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very peaceful, calming. We've had people comment that they just love that session and they go back and do that just because they enjoy it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we've had people who aren't really, they maybe want to meditate, but they just can't meditate. Meditation can be tough for a lot of people. Yeah. So this can also just be a great one. We have one client who said she just does it every day, session 3, because it's her way of meditating.
Wow. So they can just keep doing this over and over again as many times as they want.
Any of the sessions, once you buy this, you own it. You can do any of the sessions as many times as you want.
All right. What is there a session 4?
There is. So session 4 is kind of our baby, and the one that we felt inspired to do. That we really, to be honest with you, we didn't get this from anywhere. This was, you could say, this was our own downloads.
Oh.
And once we developed session 4, and we call this imprinting. And in this session, we again get you down into the slower brainwave state, but then we imprint positivity. Imprint this through utilizing the senses, which is, by the way, the language of the subconscious mind. So you've
absolutely,
yeah. So you've got you're hearing, you're seeing, you're smelling, you're touching, and these are the kinds of experiences that you would have in session 4, based on programming the subconscious mind.
Okay,
and
awesome.
The thing that's cool about the subconscious, by the way, is it doesn't know if something is real or not. It thinks it's happening.
Right.
So if you visualize something that you're really wanting to bring forth in your life, let's say you're visualizing graduating from college, graduating with a degree, or you're visualizing one day, finding the love of your life and getting married, or whatever it might be, we have you get there like you look around and you are in the moment. You look around and you see who's there. You can feel yourself in the moment. You feel the pride, the love, whatever it is. And we make sure we get you there, and then we program it into the subconscious mind as a real event.
And that's pretty cool, because that will help the person manifest what they want.
Exactly.
Because thought creates reality, obviously. So that's pretty cool. Are there any other phases?
Well, then we have an ongoing piece. So those are the 4 sessions.
Okay.
And then when we finish the sessions, usually, so the way it is let's just think of it, we've kind of rebooted the mind now. We've rebooted, you're in a better place of positivity. But over time, the conscious mind, we kind of fall back into old patterns, and the conscious mind kind of starts reacting the same old way. So what we have to do is, now that we've reprogrammed the subconscious, we got to get the conscious mind on board. And it takes about 30 days for the conscious mind to form a habit. So we do something we call it mental rehearsal. And what this involves is, and it's quick, it's like it takes less than a minute a day. But through the senses that we've programmed, we have you take the time to focus on the 4 senses, and that we use 4 senses in the programming, in the imprinting, and it's kind of like practicing what they represent. If you smell the peppermint oil, the subconscious mind knows what that represents. It represents you at your highest potential. So every time you smell the peppermint oil, it reinforces to the conscious mind what the subconscious has been programmed.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
So it's
like a trigger. And here's the thing: mental rehearsal is not really a concept that's new. Mental rehearsal is used with athletes. That's kind of something that people are familiar with. So, for instance, you've got world-class athletes. Well, the sports psychologists learned, years ago, that if they could train an athlete to do something with their mind, so they're using their imagination to, let's say, a golfer, for instance, have a terrific shot.
Mm-hmm.
They practice that, use their creativity to practice that shot over and over and over again. Well, what they found through research is that the golfer could actually mentally prepare themselves just as well utilizing that modality of practicing it in their mind as physically going to do it.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
So that same principle can be utilized for behaviorism as well, and that's what we've done within the session 4.
All right, so what do you think your success rate is?
Well, we've had a lot of success with our group, our test group, and with our clients that we've utilized for the technique. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of success.
Awesome. So overwhelmingly, most are successful.
Absolutely. When they do the technique and they stick to it, and they
really do it. Right.
Like you said, the 90-day rehearsal piece. Yeah.
Okay. How much is it?
It's $189.
Oh my God. Compared to years of psychotherapy, which most insurance does not cover, that is a bargain.
Right.
Wow. And
right.
This could revolutionize,
we've often said
health.
When we designed this, we played with the idea, and people actually told us you need to charge a lot more. But you know what? We just wanted this to be affordable for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we've been told we could charge close to $1,000 for this. What Kara just said, we just really want this to reach as many people as it possibly can. So we don't want there to be any real barriers or limitations. Whether it's
awesome.
Yeah, we just want it. There's nothing that's more frustrating, right, than treatments available just for people who can afford it.
I know. That's so true. It's I see with blog members all the time, they're really struggling, but they cannot afford, a full-blown psychotherapist or what have you, or they don't have any insurance. It's a problem. Now, does this leave any case for regular psychotherapy like you guys practiced before?
So what we actually think, and I'm just going to go right out there and say, like what Kara and I foresee, we believe, and it may even happen in our lifetime, that psychotherapy as we know it it's going to go to the wayside. But instead, energetic exercises, I mean, the psychotherapy will still be there, but the talk therapy, we think over time is going to become obsolete. Now, currently, I mean, that wouldn't be the case at all. And we would encourage anybody who's in therapy and enjoying their relationship with their therapist, continue by all means. But for us, we're actually not even, we're all in. We are all in this new, so we actually no longer have our private practices even practicing psychotherapy. We are that.
You have something better.
Right.
So Erica has always talked about an LSD or some other hallucinogen guided therapy under the auspices of a psychiatrist in a padded room or whatever, and he thinks that is a possibility too. What do you think about that?
Sorry.
I know I got my dog too. I know she was barking a little while ago.
That's Molly.
Molly. Let me
she
go
has
get her.
a lot
Right
to
back.
say. Oh, that's funny. So to your point about the LSD. So I think what happens in hallucinogenic situations with drugs is that you're really trying to reach a different brainwave state, and that's where I suspect in ancient times. Here's Molly.
Hi, Molly. Here's Bella. Meeting of the dogs. Look at the puppy dog. Look at the puppy dog.
Right.
No, not over there. It's right here. Here's a puppy dog. Here's a puppy dog. Here's a puppy dog. Oh, she's looking out the window. She don't get it.
But Kara, I was just saying the LSD thing. I think really in ancient times, peyote or whatever was used to try to get into these altered states where awareness just comes maybe a little bit easier. And quite frankly, like my thought on that is that in these altered states, you also have bypassed the conscious mind. Again, the conscious mind is the analytical, thinking, critical mind. And if you're in this altered state, it's a little bit easier to reach an awareness that is a little bit outside of that critical thinking mind. So that's what I think. We'll have to ask Erik sometime. Really, is it because it's an altered brainwave state?
I bet it's right. So it's programmable, and the psychiatrist or whoever can guide them or help reprogram.
Right, and it gets you there quick. It just gets you there. It's a chemical, so it's this is a chemical change. I mean, even the brainwave state, chemistry changes in the body as you work to rewire your brain. So that's what I think is going on there.
Yeah, but I think also it's probably, since it doesn't involve chemicals, it's probably quite a bit safer.
It's a little safer, yeah.
I think I'm finished with my questions. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Oh, geez.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're just thrilled that you invited us on to talk about this. We're big fans of Erik and his work, and we love the fact that he is such a advocate for humans to continue shifting in their ways they're treating others and viewing their world and all of that. So I think, we're thrilled to be a part of or that you would like to talk to us about this stuff, because
I think it's so fascinating, and you're going to help so many people. I do want you to give people how they can contact you, but what's the connection with Erik? How did you find Erik, or did he find you?
I was just going to say, I'm glad that you brought Erik up, because it made me want to expand on that a little bit, because about 2 years ago, so early when, in the middle of the developing the technique, so we're in the middle of it. Erik, we went and got a reading with Kim Babcock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so we were able, and Erik showed up, and so we were able to ask him some questions. And, he was very directive with us. He directed us to do a few things that let us know that, he's kind of on board. He likes what we're doing. He made that clear. And some of the direction he gave us, it went direct. It affected the actual focus of the technique.
Awesome.
In the middle of developing it, so we were tweaking it accordingly.
He told us to write a book, which we did. It's in the second editing process right now, and we're going to be releasing that too. But he said, yeah, you all need to get that book out. So we followed his advice on that as well. So
that's exciting. Well, you'll have to let me know when that book is out. I'll announce it to the peeps. How can they get in touch with you and purchase your awesome technique? I have a few family members I think might do that.
So you can find us at soulhappy.com. SOUL happy.com.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, and actually we're going to do a little Erik promotion code. So when you go to our website, and if you go to the purchase page, if you're interested in getting the technique, you just put in Erik, and we'll have a little code in there.
$25 off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. It's so cheap anyway. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy, Kara. You guys are just, wow, such a godsend to everybody who is human, because all humans suffer so much, off and on in their life. So I really am honored that I got to talk to you and share you guys with the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elisa.
You bet. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Love you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.